Hey, everybody. Welcome to So Many Sequels. I'm Josh.
I'm Garrett.
And I'm David.
This week on the show, we are 2 weeks into Sports September. We're going to talk about my pick today, which is White Men Can't Jump. First, I want to remind you all, be sure to subscribe to the show on our YouTube channel or on your favorite podcasting app, whichever one you prefer. We're shooting for a goal of 316 YouTube subscribers, and we're almost there. 316 YouTube subscribers. And we're almost there. So go check that out on our YouTube page. So Many Sequels, just search that. All right, let's get into our talk about White Men Can't Jump. Two basketball hustlers, Sidney Dean and Billy Hoyle, join forces to double their chances of winning money on the street courts as well as in a tournament. This movie stars Woody Harrelson as Billy and Wesley Snipes as Sidney. Also rounding out the cast is Rosie Perez as Gloria and Tyra Farrell as Rhonda. Directed by Ron Shelton. David, how did this movie do when it came out in the early 90s?
Well, yeah, it opened March 27, 1992 in the number one spot with 14.7 million. That's the equivalent of about 32.9 million today. So overall, not a very bad opening for late March. Also in the top five that weekend was Basic Instinct in its second week, bringing in 13.2. Wayne's World brought in 5.7 million in its seventh week. My Cousin Vinny was in its third week, bringing in 5.3. And another sports movie, Ladybugs, starring Rodney Dangerfield. I don't get no respect. That brought in 5.1. I can tell you about Ladybugs, neither a commercial nor critical success.
What's the sport?
Soccer. Women, girls soccer. He gets roped into coaching his daughter's soccer team or something. He's like, well, these girls, they kick the ball around, but I can't do it. I can't think of anything. When I was born, the doctor slapped my mother. I don't know. Anyway,
can't stop him though, can you?
Can't stop, won't stop.
I can't think of anything. Let me keep going.
Hey, I'm dying here.
Commit to the bit.
It ended up having a pretty good run. White Men Can't Jump. It would hold on to that number one spot in its second week and then go on to make $76 million in the United States, 14.5 overseas for a worldwide total of $90 million. That's 76 in the US. That's the equivalent of about 170 in 2024. Budget for this movie is only about $31 million in 1992. That's about $70 million in 2024 money. It would end up finishing the year out in 1992 as the number 16 movie of the year. We've talked about the top five for 1992 for 2 weeks now because one of the top 10 movies of the year was A League of Their Own, which we talked about last week. Number one movie of the year was Aladdin. This is the US numbers. Home Alone 2, Batman 3, Lethal Weapon 3, and then A Few Good Men. But 92, we kind of mentioned it the other week, it was a good year for sports movies as a whole. Obviously, you had A League of Their Own in this movie. You had Ladybugs, but also you had Mighty Ducks came out in 92. The Babe, starring John Goodman, came out in 92, and as did Diggstown, a movie starring Lou Gossett Jr. as a boxer who tries to beat everybody in a town in 24 hours. Or not everybody, 10 men. He tries to box 10 men in 24 hours. Anyway, so that is your run for White Men Can't Jump, number 16 movie of 1992.
Awesome. So I picked this movie for 3 reasons. Basketball, Yo Mama jokes, and Jeopardy.
The trifecta.
The trifecta.
So few movies have all 3.
So few have all 3, and I like all 3, okay? That is truly why I don't have a history with this film.
Mm-hmm.
I had seen pieces of it growing up, never really saw the whole thing. But, going through some options, it really spoke to me. And I'm glad I picked it because I was really happy with it. I enjoyed it quite a bit. So many sports movies can kind of be built around the same story elements, team dynamics, underdog stuff, going for like a big championship. But this kind of takes a different route by really kind of individualizing it. There's not so much a team element, sort of. There's a duo element here, but there's also an every man for himself element to this movie that each character has to play. And I like kind of seeing that come out. The movie starts out with we find out that Billy is kind of this, he's an old college pro, but he kind of passes off as just this dorky, geeky white guy, in his words, who can't play ball, and he hustles street ballers for money. Not your typical sports movie story, I think, with this kind of devious element going on at the same time. So I was really happy with it. The Jeopardy stuff, I do love Jeopardy. So I related to Gloria a lot. Would love to be on Jeopardy. She knows more answers than I do. I was actually shocked that she got to be on Jeopardy. When they went to the studio and Alex came out, I went, what is this?
You were like, what?
And then, you know, the stakes overall are so low. They're high for the individual character, but they're low for the viewer. It's not like everything's on the line. They're playing for money. They're playing for, you know, Sydney wants to get Rhonda out of this bad neighborhood. Gloria wants to be on Jeopardy. Billy just can't stop gambling and winning.
Mm-hmm.
He just needs to keep winning. So my first thoughts, there's a lot going on here. I enjoyed it. What do you guys think?
Yeah, what'd you think, Garrett?
I agree, Josh. There is a lot going on here, and I think that's what really helps is that they really put a lot of elements into the character. The story itself, it's anything. I mean, I was thinking while watching it, man, I don't even remember what it was, but I feel like we watched a movie earlier that had gambling elements, and every time that they won, they just they just couldn't, and it was so damn infuriating.
Oh, I know
this
what it was.
the same. What was it, David? Because
it was Uncut Gems.
Yes,
this movie had
very Uncut Gems.
This movie had total Uncut Gems vibes at times.
This is how I win.
Yes, and that is why it's exciting. They put a lot of thought into this stuff, and every piece of these characters are thought out. And so it doesn't matter that the story is pretty straightforward. It doesn't matter that it's low stakes. It has incredible moments for each person where they really shine, and everybody works well together. I mean, the chemistry between Wesley Snipes and Woody Harrelson and Rosie Perez is off the charts. Every time that one of those three is on screen, they command it, and it doesn't matter which character's playing off of which character. They are so good, and the basketball scenes are such a good way to add more to that character while giving you the fun of the basketball element. So I look at, you know, what we did last week in A League of Their Own, and I see how the story was told in White Men Can't Jump, and there's also similarities there. They each have their own things. They each have their own competitive nature, and they're involved in this together, but also going at it one another. And then the climax at the end is just everything well told together for the end. So very fun pick, Josh.
Yeah, White Men Can't Jump, I feel like really rides on how charismatic Wesley and Woody Harrelson are, and Rosie Perez as well. And their chemistry is so you want both of them to win, and you kind of want both of them to one up each other. Like whether it's on the basketball court or just in their verbal sparring, you just kind of like rooting for them. And they really seem like they were having fun. They go from enemies to friends again. And that sort of weird duplicity about both of them, that they both would kind of like, they're both thinking like, I got to sell this guy out before he sells me out, to an extent. It's a life of hustling. I'll be honest with you, this movie almost borders on cool guys doing cool crimes. I don't know. It's not really hustling's not technically a crime, but
right.
But I was like, oh man, these guys are cool. They're doing kind of cool stuff. They're tricking guys. They're like, I'll take the white geek over there. And he's like, me? You want me to play basketball?
Me?
And then he's like, I was like, Billy, you need to sell that you're kind of bad for a little bit longer. You need to accidentally make this pass a little bit. I don't know. But yeah, the characters are really engrossing. I thought that Woody's character, Billy, was it was so frustrating. If this movie had been made 5 years later, 6 years later, it might have been Adam Sandler, because we know two things about Sandler. He loves basketball.
It would not.
He loves basketball, and he loves serenading his girlfriend towards the end of the movie. These are things that are true. And so I could definitely see. And then also you add in the Uncut Gems potential of, I really thought, spoiler alert, I really thought when that gun entered the frame towards the end of the movie that we were about to get that type of ending.
What a fun scene that was, though.
It was.
I enjoyed that switcheroo.
And so anyway, yeah, your loyalty to the character sort of moves like a roller coaster because of how the story develops. It, like you said, Josh, not necessarily the biggest stakes in the world, but for these characters, like this is their whole life that they're gambling with. Really, a very good movie. I think at times I think it thought it was they were trying to be a little deeper than they were, but still tons of fun. I can't wait to get down into some more scenes here as we go.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, let's do it. Let's start diving in. For one, I immediately was in a good mood when the 20th Century Fanfare came on with the different like 90s style music vibe it had to it.
This is what we were
knew we were in.
This is what I was talking about last week. So this is before True Lies and the new fancy one where it like swirls over the top of the logo and all that. So,
see, I only paid attention to the music.
Came around.
But I knew we were in for a good time then. I want to dig into the Yo Mama jokes in this movie just because I think that it's very funny. This movie kind of in a lot of ways popularized them, making fun of Yo Mama. They weren't specifically, in that way, but we got Your Mama's an Astronaut. We got I Just Got Off Your Mom.
We got Kicking the Can Down the Road. She said she was moving. We got that one. Got that one in there.
I love how much they lean on insulting someone's mother to really rile up a street baller. That's one thing you can't talk about. That's my mama.
And you know what I liked about it in that same sequence, and I really kind of thought they really could have played more with this, is Billy laughing off being called Brady Bunch and like laughing along with it, because it really seemed like it irked Sydney. And I was like, dude, that's what you got to do, is if you laugh off the insults with them, they're going to be like, dude's he's not getting mad about my insults. This is frustrating, like how frustrating that has to be for them, because that's all, in terms of their street ball playing life, the insults are a big part of it. So if he's like, Brady Bunch, that's funny, I like that. Oh, that's just going to dig at them more. That's almost better than him saying his own insults back. But we do get some great Woody Harrelson insults later.
My favorite thing is whenever Woody makes the calisthenics aspect part of his hustle and adds to some of that stuff when he gets up there and he starts stretching back and forth, and they just they pile on all of the insults for him, and he just takes it, and that is a great way to just be like, and then he doesn't do a good job of hustling after that, because as soon as he gets on the court, he flips the switch and it's like basketball. There is no like, oh, he's like bad and then good. It's like, oh no, we just assumed.
Yeah, it's like immediately clear you were being hustled by Billy Hoyle the second that the basketball actually starts playing. Like the performance ends. Which I thought he should have kept it up. He should have made some baskets by accident. He should have been like, "Oh man, what luck!" and just kept it up.
Well, see, this could be part of it, but I read that Woody Harrelson was genuinely so good at basketball that he was better than Wesley Snipes, and they had to like account for it.
Wow. Good for Woody Harrelson being so good at basketball.
I know, he's just good at it, I guess.
Did not know that about him.
No, I learned it from reading up on this movie that he became an issue, I guess.
Yeah, they did some training, and Woody was actually pretty good.
Yeah, he was pretty good at it.
Well. I also really like the conversation about the music in this movie is really good. I really liked it opening with this sort of like scat jazz, just a closer walk with thee, and there's a lot of like for whatever reason, sort of church music scattered in the movie. So that was kind of a fun vibe to get started. But then also the Jimi Hendrix, there's a little sneak of some George Jones in there. And then the soundtrack for this is really good as well. But you have this conversation start about listening versus hearing. And Wesley Snipes saying that Woody can't hear Jimmy, can't hear him. And they go back and forth on that for a little while. And I love when they call back to that later where Woody's insulting the 2-on-2 teams. And he's saying, he goes, I'm doing two things. I'm getting them angry. And he goes, yeah, well, you're embarrassing me. And he goes, that's thing too. And then he says something else that makes Woody goes, man, I ain't listening to you. And he goes, but you are hearing me. And I laughed very hard. I was like, that's such a great callback. That's a well done callback.
Yeah, that was a good callback. And I also like that was kind of a theme throughout the whole thing. Again, to jump to the end, you see Billy, I won't spoil it yet, but you see Billy not hearing what his girlfriend is saying.
Mm-hmm.
and then he plays her that wonderful song, and he's like, oh, I'll sympathize whenever you don't want to drink of water. And then again, he gets into a situation where he is not hearing, and then he again loses everything despite winning. And I like that is a continual theme for him, is that he wins, but he keeps losing. And God, he's so infuriating.
And I mean, this movie's almost older than all three of us, so I think we can spoil the end a bit here, because I think it's important, because it's also part of why I enjoy this so much, is that it's not necessarily a happy ending. It certainly depends on how you look at it, but yes, Gloria tells Billy, I don't care if you win or lose. If you play with my money again, I'm leaving you. And he does it because he owes Sydney, and they win. But like you said, like you implied, Gloria told him, and he didn't listen. He just heard it.
Rollerbladed out of his life, man.
And so the movie ends with he's alone. She's left him, but he won.
Now he's just got Sydney.
So now he's just got Sydney, and it kind of ends with them back at their friendship. But yeah, it is a movie where, the good guy didn't get it all in the end.
Yeah.
He still lost something.
Some people don't always change in the ways, when they need to, maybe he'll change for this a little bit better, but not likely.
Not likely.
Right. This is still, if you could talk about anything that's not really explored, it's that this is clearly a guy with an addiction.
Yeah, a severe gambling problem.
Yeah.
And you see the difference in the way that he and Wesley or Sydney go about how they hustle. For Billy, it is like what he does. It is for him to get out there and prove, he couldn't make it as a pro, but he can make it as a streetball hustler. He can make that life work, and that makes him feel good, and he likes to win, and he likes to gamble. And then Sydney, he has a lot of things going on, and he's got a family, and he's really trying to get out of there. And he doesn't necessarily take basketball as his main. He wants the basketball, I think, to be his main thing, but he does other work to make sure that he can get his family in a position.
Right.
And so you see that, and there's that moment when they had won the $5,000 after that tournament. They reluctantly paired together after they each hustled one another, and then they won the basketball game. And then all of a sudden, Billy is like, you don't think I can slam dunk, huh? And then he just blows a gasket for no reason, because Wesley Snipes or Sydney's like, don't do this. This is stupid. Everything you're doing right now is really dumb.
Yeah.
And then they get on the court, and he's like, you keep pushing, I'm going to take your money. I'm going to pump your shoes, and then I'm going to leave you. And it was such a fun moment, because he was like,
left him no choice.
I'm going to take this money and put it for my family. And Billy just could not do that for Gloria.
Yeah, the
couldn't do it.
Seemingly the key difference between Sydney and Billy is that Sydney, despite how the opening of the movie would present it, where Billy shows up and he's clearly, a player who has more than he's, looks like, is a better player than he looks, right? And Sydney, who looks like an incredible basketball player, looks like he doesn't take it necessarily that seriously. But as it turns out, and you find this out over the course of the movie, Sydney really is more disciplined than Billy. Billy does not have good discipline. That's why he loses his money. That's why Sydney maybe doesn't win a ton of money every week, but he's building slowly but surely towards getting his family out of the neighborhood they're in. And meanwhile, Billy's hung up with some debt that he racked up. I know they said it at one point, but I didn't quite catch exactly what how that situation shook out. But he's just and like that fight on the way back is it's such a cell phone. It's such an unforced error for him to be like, I should just force this conversation about me being able to dunk, and this is a waste of time for him.
This is exactly what makes this movie so good, I think, at demonstrating the differences in these characters, is how it uses mostly racial divisions, but race and class divisions to kind of stop these stereotypes. Billy plays up on the fact that he's a geeky looking white guy. Like the racial aspect is part of his hustle, right?
Mhm.
And they fall for it initially because namesake of the movie, white man can't jump. There's a whole subplot here where literally Woody Harrelson's character just can't dunk,
Mhm.
which is kind of funny to me. But then we learn, like you just said, David, that there's more to him than meets the eye. Same for Wesley Snipes' character. There's all these class and racial assumptions that are happening, and the movie, I think, does a pretty good job of showing people why those are wrong.
Yeah.
Or why they can be wrong.
When Sydney first turns up in a turtleneck outside of a nice neighborhood, I was like, what? Wait, what's going on? It kind of caught me off guard. And then I got to say, this is something my wife pointed out. Their apartment, they actually had a really nice looking apartment. they wanted to get out of there, but I was like, they got like a separate living room and kitchen space. And they probably got
They
their
got
own bedroom
burgled,
back
though.
there.
They're making their space nice, despite
Yes.
the fact that they don't live in a good space. They
That's
want
true.
that life. That's
doing-
what they're striving
look-
for, and that's the difference.
That's what
And
I'm saying.
one
It
of the
looked nice.
my favorite aspect of class and race is Gloria and her destiny to
Mhm.
be on
Her
Jeopardy.
destiny,
Mm.
yes.
You know, because watching this movie, you don't think that she's going to end up on Jeopardy. You just don't. It's not
Mhm.
a thing that you think is going to happen. Despite
But
the
just-
fact that she's reading all these trivia books, she's really trying, she's looking for a way in, but like, who ends up on Jeopardy, right?
Yeah,
And
especially
then
in
like,
movies.
how is she going to get there?
Like it feels like one of those
Yeah.
things that like is just sort of a character quirk about her in the movie.
Yes.
Like having not seen it before, it's just like, oh, that's her fun character quirk is she wants to be on Jeopardy. Never in a million years did I picture that Jeopardy was actually going to be an aspect of the
a
movie.
character in
And
the movie.
Alex
Yeah.
Trebek was going to show up and go, and she's a former disco queen. You know, like I did not picture that
Right.
at all.
When,
So
when we find out that Sydney knows someone who can get her in, basically,
Mhm.
I went, no.
because they work in LA, they live in LA.
No, he can't really do that, right? And then it went to Jeopardy, and I thought, this is a dream sequence. It wasn't. She
No.
won all that money.
No, and they happened to
She-
pick all the.
We watched her play a whole game of Jeopardy, basically.
She did great.
She did. Good job.
She knocked it out of the water, and like, you know, and then you
She's the
see
Ken
how
Jennings of
she
her era.
reacts when she's this. You know, she has been with Billy this whole way through, despite his debt, despite being chased by men with guns and running from one hotel to the other. Like, she's been there for him. She
Mhm.
gives him the money to get him out of the thing, and she realized she found her worth, and she got that money that and she walked off into the sunset feeling strong and proud of herself, and boom, she got what she like. That's the happy ending right there.
Mhm, mhm. Ditch this guy.
Yeah,
Someone that
that is true. For sure. She got her Jeopardy, and you don't need this man no more.
yeah, Sydney's
No,
wife
he
told her
bringing
early
you
on.
down, and you see it now. You're not in the same. You know, your life has changed,
Mhm.
and you've got someone who's bringing you down, and you see a way out. Girl, take it, and she did.
Yeah, you're not going to get to the Tournament of Champions if you stay with Billy.
Well, there
For
was a
sure.
very-
I mean, she won that. She won so hard. She certainly going back for day two. Like, man.
Oh, yeah.
oh yeah,
keep
she
it
like I
rolling.
said, Ken Jennings of her day. You know, she probably won, and they eventually had to tell her, "You got to stop. You got to stop coming."
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, when you feel so bad because you want Billy to make the right decision in that moment where she says, "You gamble with my money, I'm leaving," but at the same time, you kind of know, oh, this is it. She's gone. She roller skated out of there like Barbie and Ken.
Right. And then at that point, though, you want to think, but he won, so she'll be okay.
Mhm.
Nope. Nope. She was serious.
Yep.
She was like, I don't care that you won.
So there are some questions I do have towards the end, which is there were a couple of things that got a little confusing. One is these guys who are chasing after Billy for the money that he owes them, right?
Right.
When Sydney's house gets busted into and robbed, that to me was such a strange moment of the movie because I had no idea if that was supposed to be truly a random attack or if like where the guys who were pursuing Billy saw that he was interacting with this guy and said, "Hey, this guy might have the money. If this guy hustled Billy, then he has Billy's money. Let's go take it from that guy." I was like curious, like if that was going to be the plot point. Sydney gets this situation set up for Rosie Perez's character to get on Jeopardy, and they kept saying like, "I'm going to owe you," and I think the way they presented it is as far as Rosie's character knows, Jeopardy genuinely called her and got her on the show. That there wasn't any sort of, behind the scenes machinations that got her there. And so I was kind of waiting for the shoe to drop for her to find out, like, wait, you guys got me on the show. Like, it wasn't because of her genuine merit that she got on or anything like that. She got on sort of by cheating, if you will. I thought
she don't need to know.
Well, that's what I'm saying is I thought that might be about to happen, especially because they kept saying, well, I owe him one. What, you owe him one? Why do you owe him one? And then that would come up to light, and that would be another aspect of why this breakup might happen. So anyway, there were a lot of those kind of threads that seemed like they were set up, but never really came back around. And probably it was just me. The thing is, when you have a character do like a long con hustle, like what Sydney did to Billy, I thought, well, anything's on the table now. Any kind of trickery is possible now. Maybe Billy set up a robbery of Sydney's home for all I know. It was all on the table as far as I was concerned.
Valid. Mm-hmm. You guys ever seen Bull Durham?
I'd never seen Bull Durham, but I've heard a lot of good recommendations.
It's one of them Kevin Costner baseball movies that I know about, but I have not seen that one.
Friend of the show, Dr. Mackey, recommended it.
This is no, that's another film directed by the director of this, Ron Shelton. He's known for some sports movies. He also did Tin Cup after this.
I enjoyed Tin Cup. Also Kevin Costner and Don Johnson, who is underratedly wonderful.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Excellent. Do you guys want to watch the remake
with Jack Harlow?
Yeah.
Who plays the Snipes character in that movie?
No idea.
No, I
can't imagine it holds up.
I have very little interest. It was I saw that it was like totally got review bombed. I say review bomb. That's kind of safe for people who do it for specific reasons, but nobody liked that movie coming out.
I agree. Well, should we move into our final thoughts, or is there any other deep dive moments you guys want to cover?
No, I think we hit them all. I think that it's a very fun movie.
Yeah. I'll start with my final thought then. Nothing different from what I've said. I mean, I really enjoyed this movie for being what it is. This low stakes, not even organized sport, really. Street ball. There's a little bit of organization at the end, I guess. But it's just about people trying to survive ultimately. And that's what I enjoy about it. They use basketball as a vehicle for them to get by in life. The movie uses it as this way to like show where racial and class divisions can meet as in this game. And there's just a lot about having big dreams, I think, of getting out of a situation you've been in, of reaching some height you didn't think was possible. And there's a lot of funny Your Mama jokes along the way.
That's true.
So overall, really enjoyed it. I'm going to give it 4 out of 5 stars.
I agree. I think it was slick and energetic, like a good game of basketball. And White Man Can't Jump, it kind of nails the fun and frustrating life of trying to make your living playing pickup basketball.
Hustling.
Trying, I mean, you could transport this to a few different sports that have sort of the hustle involved. And I think that some of the story elements would still play well. But basketball is one of the big three. It's hard not to be romantic about basketball. So yeah, 4 out of 5 for me as well.
I don't have much disagreement as far as anything that you all said. I think the characters are great. I think the chemistry's great. I think it's fun to watch and a whole lot of fun. For some reason, I'm gonna go with a 3.5. I don't know why it's keeping me from a 4, but 3.5 on my end.
Okay, all right, fair enough. That's pretty good scores across the board from us. Let's get into the Letterboxd game now, where we're going to now take a guess at what the Letterboxd community has rated this. Who's going first this week, David?
Oh, let me look at the scoreboard. Let me pull it up right here.
I believe it's me who has the big L
Garrett,
going in his name today.
The current score is Garrett 12, Josh 13, me 16. I came off a big win last week with a league of their own. So, Garrett, you are leading off this week for Sports September.
I think I think it's going to be somewhere in between where we are. I'm going to go with just slightly higher than mine. I'm going to go with a 3.6.
That's a good spot. It's a good spot. Josh?
Yeah, that's pretty good. I'm gonna go with I'm gonna lean closer to me and pick 3.9.
Okay. Well, shoot. I'm going to go between you guys, but man, who do I want to potentially be in a tiebreaker situation with, Josh or Garrett? Because I got to go somewhere in the middle there. I'm going to say 3.7. No, you know what? It's fortune favors the bold. I'm going to say 3.5.
Okay, wow.
Wow.
Okay,
Go
we
under
got
Garrett. I'm going to take everything
3.5,
under 3.5.
3.6, and
Not bad strategy.
3.9 for me. Let me read a couple of the most popular reviews here before I reveal the final winner. We've got 3 stars from Jess. When he said he ain't going nowhere, the bakery ain't open yet. I felt that.
Oh, I laughed so hard, actually. I laughed so hard. Oh, my gosh. I forgot
4
about that.
stars. This movie made me thirsty.
Sure.
And then 3.5 stars. I think we can all agree. These dudes have a gambling problem.
Yeah,
For
to say it,
sure.
To put it simply.
Sponsored by DraftKings.
Exactly. If they existed back then. I'm scared to even look at what that is. I know what it is, but I'm scared to look at what it is.
Oh, DraftKings?
Millions of
Yeah.
people very much enjoy it.
Oh, yeah.
And they're
All
gambling
right.
problem.
And they sponsor some podcasts, so.
Oh, well, I'm not above that. All right. We do have a direct hit this week. And as you said, fortune favors the bold. It is David
Ooh.
who nailed it with a 3.5
Nice.
overall score on
Where's my
Letterboxd.
trophy?
Dang.
Yep.
Dang. You know
Rub
what?
it
I was
in.
going to do that earlier too, and I chose
I
wrong.
need to get a letterbox hat that's 3 stars or 5 stars or something like that.
That'd be fun.
They should make that. Okay.
we should
All right.
comment
Direct
on
hit
them.
for me. Sports September is going well for me so far. White men. I'm just going to abbreviate this. White men. Can't.
We got to
jump.
put a stop to this. I'll tell you that much.
I know.
We will work on that. That's all for this episode of So Many Sequels. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel or in your favorite podcasting app to keep up with new episodes and reviews. You can also follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Threads, and Facebook to stay in touch and let us know what you think of the show. Finally, head over to SoManySequels.com for all those links and a catalog of our past episodes. We'll see you later this week, or next week, for our next So Many updates and the next entry in Sports September. Bye.